Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kai. Today we're going to be talking about the 10 money habits you should be adopting in your 20s. There's no doubt that the 20s really set you on the trajectory, on the path of your financial future. Neither in school or university we often learn about the concept of money, how to save and how to invest, which is a great shame, but that's so important for anyone's future in their life. And it's in the 20s where you set the foundation for your financial future. So with this, let's dive right in. Point number 1. Set clear financial goals. Now with anything in life, if you don't have a goal, you're not gonna be on target. You need to have a clear goal to get you working towards that. And ideally, that goal should be smart. You gotta be realistic. I mean, it's one thing to say, I wanna be the next Jeff Bezos. That's great, and I like being bold. But you gotta be feasible, right? If you're starting off just paying off your student loan, being the next Jeff Bezos within the next 10 years, probably unlikely. That's not to say that those goals can't change and evolve over time, but start where you are right now and make a clear goal for your 20s, for your 30s. What's the number you're working towards? What would make you feel comfortable? What's the number you want to have when you retire? What's the monthly number you want to have to be able to spend to live a comfortable life? And then really make a clear budget. How much of your money goes towards spending and how much goes towards investing? I always say, even if you earn very little at the beginning of your career, which is normal, try to make it a priority to pay yourself first, meaning put money aside. And as a good rule of thumb, if you can manage 20%, that's fantastic. If it's only 10%, that's still great. And really make sure that this money that you set aside, you leave it there because that's the money you're going to be using later on to invest and grow your net worth over time. Point number 2. Understanding your spending patterns. Now all of us have our preferences on what we're spending money on. Some love to splash out on fancy holidays. For others, it's the latest fashion items. And again, others, they spend all their money on the latest games and what have you. So whatever it is, and it's totally fine, right? That's why we're working, that's why we're growing our wealth, to spend money on things that do bring us some sort of joy and happiness. So there's nothing wrong with this, but what is important, that from early on you understand what you're spending your money on. Because I see so many people that as soon as they get their paycheck, the money just disappears. And at the end of the money, there's actually still too many days of the month left. And you don't want to be in that situation. So it really starts by understanding what are you spending your money on. So really take an X-ray of your bank statement and really go through what are your monthly expenses. What are things that you really need and what are things that you can actually live comfortably without? And by having a financial hygiene where you really go through and cut out this financial fat by adjusting small things in a month, over time, those result in great savings. The best example is the €4 Starbucks coffee. And I talk more about how you can save money in this video right here. You really want to understand what's your monthly outflow of expenses and what are the things that you're spending money on. Because only after this can you optimize your spending patterns and make sure you save some of your monthly funds. Point number 3, monthly budget check-ins. I know, we talk a lot about budget and it may sound boring to some of you. My friend and I were actually talking about budgeting for months, but eventually I added my 2 cents. Trust me, this is fundamental to success. Any successful company is doing so because they are reviewing their finances at the end of the month. Any successful person is tracking their net worth, is tracking their spendings and is tracking their investments. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So it's not just a one-time exercise. You created your budget, you looked at your spendings and great, you're ready to go. That's not how things work. This is an ongoing exercise and I recommend it to do on a monthly basis. What I do every first week of the new month, I look back at the last month, once again go through my expenses, what did I spend my money on, how much did I save, and then, we'll get to this later, what do I do with those savings and where do I invest them? Because if I don't track this every month, I would just get lost in the numbers and at the end of the year I may wonder, wow, what actually happened? What did I spend all my money on? And then it's too late to make any changes or adjustments. So, monthly reviews, super important. And also, you may actually get a salary increase over time. So once your salary increases, don't just automatically increase your expenses accordingly. You're going to be left with the same saving rate you had before. Ideally, you want to grow your saving rate the more income you receive. So the more money you make, the more you can put aside. Because hey, we all want to enjoy a bit of the good life, right? Point number 4, learn to speak the language of money. In university and schools, we learn foreign languages, we learn mathematics, we learn chemistry, but we never actually learn the language of finance. And that's scary because the older you get, you're gonna be bombarded with financial terms. The banks are selling you the mortgages, the interest rates, investment instruments, various things that we spend our hard-earned money on, when in reality we actually know very little about. And that leads to us just simply trusting somebody because they said so. But you want to be a person that's comfortable with financial terms and really understands what's actually going on when they talk about interest rates, compound rate, mortgage rate, refinancing, annualized returns. These words should mean something for you. Because the more you know about it and you understand those terms, the more you become comfortable investing and thus growing your net worth going forward. Point number 5, find a financial mentor. Now I know not all of us are blessed to be living in a neighborhood or in a city where there is necessarily a financial mentor that you can meet or even have access to. But the great thing is we all have access to the internet and there's so much great information out there. Personally, I'm a huge advocate of YouTube University. After watching many YouTubers, some of those guys right here, I really learned so much about the topic, and that actually fueled my own interest to learn more about it and eventually pass the knowledge forward. That's why I started this channel right here, which of course I would really appreciate if you subscribe and hit the like button. But again, there's also great books out there, there's podcasts, there's amazing websites. So when I say mentor, it doesn't mean that you have to go out there and buy the next $5,000 financial guru course, because there's so much free knowledge out there that really helps you to learn and understand. By immersing yourself into the field of finance, personal finance and investment, you slowly absorb by listening to those terms repeatedly and put you into that mindset of better financial understanding. And maybe also start talking with your friends about finance. That kind of fuels you and you learn something from each other. Rather than just talking about the latest Netflix series, start talking about finance, your investments. That gets people excited. And at the same time, you can actually have an accountability partner where people really hold you accountable. Did you really save the 20% that you committed to at the beginning of the month? You can share and exchange your returns on your investments. That's a really fun way to really stay committed on the area of finance. Point number 6, start an emergency fund. Now, we've all seen in recent times, bad things can happen. Nobody would have expected such a global pandemic that all of us have been going through, but here we are. So a lot of people I know have actually been fired or terminated from their job, lost their income, and this is really terrible and tragic to see. Now, while some citizens in certain countries have been lucky enough to get subsidies and support payment from the government, you don't want to be in a situation where you only rely on the government. So it's very important, again, going back to the point of setting money aside, that before you invest any money, you want to make sure that you build up a certain emergency fund. What I mean by emergency fund, money that you put on a savings account that just sits there and that allows you to live up to 3 months without having to worry about anything. So it will pay your bills, your rents, your mortgage payments, whatever you have, and you don't have to worry or panic or start selling your house or your car in order to service any debts you may have. So that just gives you the peace of mind that despite being in difficult times, you will still weather the storm and get through it. Some people leave up to 6 or 12 months emergency fund, which personally I think may be a little bit too much, because I actually prefer putting some of the money to work. Especially when you're young and you have little funds to invest, you want to make sure that you can maximize those investments while not compromising your emergency fund. So keep 3 months aside, full 3 months of your monthly spendings, and the rest put towards your investments. Point number 7, set up additional income streams. Now, going back to the previous example, a lot of people may have been in affected industries where they lost their jobs, like in tourism, in travel or restaurants. So you don't want to be dependent just on one source of income, which for most people is their salary, because then you're very much dependent on others, on your boss for not getting fired, or on the industry. The concept of side hustle has been very popular in recent times, and I'm really a big advocate of this, because most people work 9 to 5. But the question is, what do you do after 5, right? And that's when most people just go home and watch their usual movies. But make sure to use this time, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, even on the weekends, and start devoting the time towards things that can further build additional income streams. These things can be setting up an online shop, selling your art on Etsy, mowing the lawns for your neighbors, work in food delivery or as an Uber driver. There's so many ways in your 20s to build up additional income. And not only will you get more income, but you will also be exposed to new industries, to new ways of making money, to think differently, not just your 9 to 5. And I think that's so important. And I truly encourage you to give it a go and see what feels most comfortable for you and that doesn't conflict with your current work, but can build you an additional source of income and as such further expedite your growing of your net worth. Point number 8, have a frugal mindset. When you're in your 20s, you're obviously not going to be sitting on millions and millions of dollars. You got to be very conscious on your spending. Now, some people call that cheap, and there's a difference between cheap and frugal. Cheap is if you just don't spend money on anything and just refuse to spend it at all. Look, I like spending money. When I travel, I really want to stay in nice hotels. When I eat food, I really want to have the best quality of food. But frugal just means being smart about your spendings. When I buy clothes, I never go for the most fashionable items. I just buy functional, good-looking clothes that last me for a long time. The same with coffee. I love coffee, but I'm not gonna spend €4 on a Starbucks coffee, but I do invest in a good coffee machine that I have at home, and that gives me a 30 cents coffee that tastes the same, if not better, and allows me to save that money over time and reinvest. When it comes to technology, something I use every day, I don't think twice. I'm gonna buy the very best I can, because that's something I use and it adds value to me. But when I fly somewhere, you can trust me, I shop around as long as it takes to get the very best flight, because I refuse to pay 10 times the price for a 3-hour first class trip. I rather use those money and spend it on a nice hotel and a suite that I can really enjoy for 1 week when I stay there, rather than just splashing it on a 3-hour flight. So cheap is simply refusing to spend money for the sake of spending money. Frugal is being smart, is comparing prices and making financially wise decisions. Point number 9. Stop buying depreciating assets. Now, what do we mean by depreciating assets? Depreciating means losing value over time. So these are things like your car, fashion accessories, electronic things like your TV, your computer, your phone. All these things cost a lot of money to invest, but over time they actually decrease in value. And that's what's hurting your net worth, because you want to invest into things that gain value over time. Things like real estate, things like stocks, that once you invest money, they work for you and compound in value over time. Now, we all have to buy some depreciating assets here or there. I mean, it's going to be hard to live without a phone or a computer. But again, what it means is be very mindful of not only spending on such items, because it drains your net worth value. So really think twice, what are you investing in? Do you need that asset? And if not, better put your money towards appreciating assets rather than depreciating assets. Point number 10, start investing early. Now I know the 20s, you want to just live life, enjoy. You're in your university, you graduated, you get your first job, your first money. You want to splash it out and have a good time, travel the world and party every night. Now I get that. We've all been there, done that. But trust me, from somebody who's no longer in the 20s, looking back, I wish I would have started earlier to invest. Because time can be your best friend or your worst enemy. The sooner you invest, the more chance of compounding your growth over time. The sooner you start investing, the more your money can work for you and help you achieve your financial goal and reach financial independence. So really make an effort to, once again, set the money every month aside and make sure you start investing it. The younger you are, you can take also more risky investments. That's why you see a lot of young people using apps like Robinhood or Coinbase to invest into more high growth stocks, more high growth alternative cryptocurrencies. Though they have more risk, they also have a higher upside. And when you're young, you have more risk tolerance, because worst case, if it goes back to zero, you can start again. When you're 60 years old, it probably wouldn't be the smartest idea to invest 50% into cryptocurrency. You want to be early to take those risks and quicker build up your portfolio. So don't fall for the trap of the YOLO lifestyle. You can still have fun while still being wise, frugal, and start investing early. And over time, you will achieve your financial goals. That's it, guys. These are the 10 money habits you should be adopting in your 20s. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what are some of your money habits. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Stay awesome, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.